Our keynote presentation is by Dan Fischer, President and CEO of Citizens State Bank, which has been recently voted best bank by the Free Press and has grown tremendously over the past 4 years from $60 million in assets to more than 300 and growing. Servicing entrepreneurs, business leaders, in the cannabis community with a special keynote entitled, "Is Your Bank Giving You Brain Damage?" with some post-election uplifting remarks. Let's welcome my friend, my special advisor, and my golf partner, Dan Fischer.
Thank you, Derek. It's good to see everyone. And first thing I'd like to do is is thank Derek for, again, I noticed some people did this earlier, but really thank Derek for bringing the community together. He does a great job with these programs, and I always enjoy being here. And so, Derek, thank you so much for everything you do for the cannabis community and from a charitable perspective. So Derek and I were talking Sunday night, and he called me and he said, "Hey, have you written your speech yet?" And I said, "I don't write speeches." And he said, "You're a banker, you're supposed to write speeches." I said, "I don't write speeches, I just talk to people." And I take a little bit of different approach to the things that I do, and I think that's kind of what our bank is all about. Yeah, and this is not really meant to be a commercial for Citizens State Bank, so I won't make it one. But when I was talking to Derek, I said I have two versions of my talk tonight. I have the scorched earth, the world's coming to an end version, and then I have the future is bright version. So tonight you're going to get the future is bright version, and I do think the future is bright. And some of the conversation that we had earlier from some of the panels was really good. It was enjoyable for me to sit in the audience and listen to a bunch of attorneys and not have to pay them. So that was good. So the future is bright. Why is the future is bright? I think that with the election, I do think there is going to be change. Change is not always good, but it is different. And I think that we need change in our industry. We certainly need change in our economy. And I do think that some of the pressure that we're feeling in the cannabis industry, and we as bankers feel it as well, because we have loans out to a lot of the cannabis companies, and I see many of my customers here tonight, and I thank you for your business. But I do think that one of the things that's affecting the compression in the marketplace is just the overall economy and the environment and the atmosphere that we have today. And it's been a tough year. 2024 has been a very difficult year. As Derek mentioned, we bought the bank in 2020. We're privately owned, and we've grown significantly, and the cannabis industry has been a big part of our business. It's about 20 to 25% of our business. And even though I remember selling Ziploc bags of weed in college like 40 years ago, I never thought my career would come full circle and I would be working in the cannabis industry. And by the way, we have quite a bit of outdoor product available. If anybody wants to buy some, we can sell some of that to you after the meeting tonight. So I'm not kidding about that. So what else is gonna make the future bright? I think there's definitely going to be some change, and I know President Trump talked about it in his rallies. But there's definitely going to be some change on the tax front. And I think that's going to help individual people. It's going to help small businesses. Hopefully we will get a reduction in the corporate tax to 15%. I think we're going to get a renewal of the existing tax cuts. That's going to be good for people. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. All of those things should help stimulate the economy, along with a reduction in energy prices. Those two things alone, I think, are going to make a huge difference in the overall economy and the sentiment and consumer confidence, which is definitely going to be good for our business. The Fed did reduce interest rates today, 25 basis points as expected. I anticipate that we will get another 25 basis points in December, but I do not think that interest rates are going to come down as fast as they went up. And I think that we can't count on that. And I think, when I was listening to some of the discussion about the struggles in the cannabis industry over the last 2 or 3 years, I related it a little bit to the banking environment. And I said to myself, as a banker of almost 40 years, how could the other bankers, my peers, not pay attention to the fact that interest rates were going up 500 basis points? Like how could you not realize that? Well, I think to a certain extent, the cannabis industry is similar to that. How could we not realize that if we had so many more companies and so many more licenses and everyone jumping into the business, that we wouldn't see supply and demand and we wouldn't see prices go down? So I think that's kind of where we are, but I want to be positive, and so I really feel like I think the cannabis industry is kind of at a bottom here, and that I think that we are going to be moving up and there is going to be some brighter days ahead of us. I think we all need to work on that, and I want to talk a little bit about what I think you need to be doing from a banking perspective that can help your business. So Derek and I were trying to figure out what to call my presentation tonight, and he came up with, is your bank giving you brain damage? And I would say to you that if your bank is giving you brain damage, you have the wrong bank. That's the bottom line. And what are some of the things that you should be thinking about as a cannabis entrepreneur and a cannabis business and a cannabis corporation when you look for a bank? And I think you really need to look for a bank partner, not a bank. There's lots of banks, they're on every corner. There's only about 14 financial institutions, credit unions and banks in the state of Michigan that bank cannabis. Some of us are pretty good at it and some of us are not. And you never want to be in a situation where the bank will close your accounts without giving you any notice. And that happens a lot. It happens to money service businesses. We do a lot of that business, and it happens a lot to cannabis businesses. So if you're at a bank that really doesn't bank cannabis and think that they're not going to close you because you have been able to skirt around the fact that you are in a cannabis business, even if it's non-leaf touching, it's going to happen to you at some particular point in time. So take that into consideration. I think one of the things that you want to look for, and we saw some great people up here today. We talked about attorneys. We saw some of the accounting professionals that were up here. I think that's something that's really, really important for your business today and the future of your business, is to surround yourself with really solid professionals. Most of you have invested a lot of your cash, a ton of money, and a lot of your investors' money in your companies. And you really need to be focused on surrounding yourself with the right professionals. That means a really good, strong attorney to help evaluate your documents and your partnerships and your structure. That also means a very, very strong accountant. And we all know that taxes are a very difficult subject with 280E in the cannabis business. And I do hope that we see a reschedule, and that does affect the 280E, because as a lender that has loans out to you guys, I'm hoping that will help, because the price compression has made your numbers look a lot less desirable to us from a banking perspective, and that will certainly help your net income. So we want to see that. But I think your bank is right there along with your accountant and your attorney. And when you look for a bank, it's not really about how many locations they have. It's really about what they can do for you, and can they provide all the services that you need. Most of our customers, and we have a lot, use armored car pickup. We do take cash in the bank. A lot of our customers like to do it that way. We're happy to take it. But armored car pickup is very, very much part of the business, and it's very easy. We have 3 different carriers all around the state. So the deposit piece, competitive pricing, but also the technology there to support you. An example of that is Positive Pay on the ACH and the check side. We watch your accounts every day and work with you to make sure that nobody is committing fraud against your company. Business is tough enough right now. You can't afford to lose money. And if you don't have Positive Pay and you don't have the right technology with the bank that you're with today, you really need to think about that, because it's for your own protection. And I've been in banking for 40 years and I've never seen fraud like we see fraud today. So that is something that you also really, really need to take into consideration. And then the big one is access to capital. You may not need to borrow. I would imagine most of you need to borrow at some particular point in time, or would love to have a working capital line of credit, so that if you need to pay your taxes or you need to take an advantage of an opportunity to buy some product at a great price, that you have the liquidity to do that. And if your bank doesn't offer you the opportunity to borrow, that's something that you really should think about. Now, the borrowing environment for cannabis has changed so much. I mean, the price of product has gone down so much. And really, one thing I would say to you first and foremost is, if you own real estate in the cannabis business, whether it's a dispensary, a cultivation facility, or a processing facility, I hate to tell you that it's not worth what you think it's worth. When we started making loans in the business 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, we used green values, and we took into consideration the value of the license, the value of the market, and really the cash flow and the earnings and the projections that were coming out of those facilities. Today, you have to look at the real estate as if it was in a liquidation situation. If we had to turn it into a warehouse, if we had to turn it into a regular retail business, what would it be worth from a square foot perspective? So it's really important for you to know that. And the other thing that I would say is, a lot of you and a lot of our cannabis customers, when they came to us, had street money or land contracts. They came due, people wanted their money, and street money went up just like regular interest rates went up. And then when your cash flow and your income went down because of price compression, those interest rates became even more difficult to manage. I think it's just really important to build a relationship with a bank that understands your business and then will work with you. So our attitude at our bank is, yeah, we get a little bit more for cannabis loans, but we try not to make it ridiculous, because we want you to be successful. I mean, we want you to have realistic cash flow, and we want you to have a satisfactory relationship with us. So in many cases, you're borrowing your own money, because if your operating accounts are with your bank, you're paying fees to house that money there. Now, most of you know, I know, because I look at the balance sheet every day, cannabis dollars don't stick. Only 20% of the money that comes in sticks on the balance sheet. The rest of it goes right back out. And it's even gotten a little bit thinner with margin compression. So those deposits are valuable, but they don't stay on the balance sheet very long. So from a banking perspective, we really can't leverage them that much. But it is important to have that relationship with your bank, and then also to be able to have a decision maker at the bank that you can talk to, who understands your business, who's come to your facility, who's looked at your business plan, and who can help you and advise you as a partner. Now, not everybody in this room might think they need that. The wrong time to figure out you need it is when you need it. And so I would urge you and encourage you to think about some of the things that I've offered up tonight as suggestions, because we don't want you to have brain damage as a cannabis customer. We want you to have a good, successful business. And, a banker, unlike an accountant and unlike, to a certain extent, an attorney, we don't charge you by the hour. We build a relationship with you. So we are here as a counselor and a business partner to help you, a trusted advisor to help you with your business. The other thing that I would say that we have seen a lot of over the last couple of years is, a lot of the companies that got into the business, there were people from outside industries that invested in cannabis businesses, and there was a lot of leverage there. And now it's 3 or 4 years down the road, almost 5 years down the road, and those investors want their money out, and there's really no money to give them. So it's a difficult situation to be in. And so if you have real estate, if you put a lot of cash into your business and you feel like you can weather the storm and come out ahead, you really need to be thinking about, how can I affordably leverage the collateral that I have? Very, very important. And I think that's one of the things that I would certainly take away. A couple of things else that I would mention is, I think I already said, quality of your financial statements. That is so important. If you went to a bank as an individual person to get a mortgage and you hadn't filed your taxes in 2 or 3 years, you wouldn't be able to get a mortgage for your house. You can't go to a bank when you haven't filed your taxes in 2 or 3 years, or you owe a significant amount of taxes and expect that not to be an issue. If your credit is bad, you need to work on building your credit back up. It's so important. And I think those are all things that you need to be constantly managing and being aware of, because there is a process, and your bank can help you with that. The quality of your earnings is another thing that you really need to look deeply at. A lot of times in fast-growing industries, and this one for sure, a lot of our customers, a lot of people keep buying new stores, keep growing, keep putting more money back into the business. You know, you have to kind of hit the reset button occasionally to make sure that your strategy is still something that you can validate. Cannabis is a commodity. You've all seen that from a pricing perspective. So when you do your pro forma analysis, you need to take a look at what my business looks like, expenses, cash flow, and earnings at this price, at this price, at this price, at this price. And you need to be conservative when you look at that. And if you don't have the cash flow at least conservative prices, then you shouldn't be continuing to grow. You need to be thinking about staying where you are, managing your expenses, and trying to weather through the storm and building up the quality of your financial statements, building up your credit, building up your cash position, paying your taxes, and getting a bank partner that can help you as you move forward in this industry. I do think that there is going to be some people that fail. There is going to be some collateral damage. But I think also there's a tremendous opportunity for you to look around the room and look at some of the other people in the industry that may be struggling too, and is there a way to partner with them? If you're not fully vertically integrated, maybe there's an opportunity there for you to get together with some people that have that piece of the puzzle that you don't have, and then that will collectively make your businesses more successful. So those are just some things to think about. I think if you do borrow money, it's very, very important to borrow it responsibly, whether you borrow it on the street level or you raise capital from investors or you borrow from a bank, because debt is the kiss of death. So those are some of the things that I would think about if I were in the cannabis business. And I feel, again, like I am in the cannabis business because I'm partners with a lot of you. And I welcome any of you to visit with me after the session or come and visit us at the Citizen State Bank, because I think it'd be worth your time. Before I close, I do want to do a little shout out here to Raina Adu. Raina, if you'd stand up. Raina is our Senior Vice President. Yeah, for sure. Raina is our Senior Vice President of Commercial Banking. She handles our cannabis portfolio, and her nickname is the Raina Maker. And she does an amazing job. There's plenty of you out there in the audience that are big fans of her. And you know, you have never experienced a banking relationship with somebody like Raina, so I urge you to say hello to her. And then I'll do a last shout out. I think my son is in the back of the room there. Danny Fischer is also in the cannabis business. So I get a lot of good information from my son about what's happening out there in the marketplace. And I appreciate your time this evening, and thank you very much.